Hi everyone, it's Fidgetine, and I'm at work, and there's no one here, so I'm going to talk to myself. But it's not just myself here, because people are going to listen to this. Alright, so today I'm going to talk about minimalism, and specifically my experiences with having OCD-related hoarding tendencies and aspiring to be more minimalist. So, essentially, I have always had a hard time getting rid of things, especially from a young age. And I never knew why. I just thought everyone was like that, but, like all things in life, we grow up and we realize that that's not the case. So, I think now I know that my problem was probably being emotionally attached to objects and having memories attached to objects and not wanting to get rid of things because it reminds me of certain memories, or not wanting to get rid of things because they were gifts and I don't want to upset the people who gave them to me because things cost money and all that stuff. But unfortunately, in this world, most of us will have to get rid of things, and I am moving for the second time in the past 5 years. So, and I'm, downsizing again, so we're going to have to get rid of things. And it's really hard for me. And I've been watching a lot of minimalism videos and, what if it bringing you joy and all of that stuff, but I've been having a really hard time finding resources about this because I've found that people tend to use hoarding as a sensationalized kind of buzzword when it really means I had a lot of stuff and then I got rid of it and now I'm a minimalist. But what I am looking for is I have a really hard time getting rid of things and a lot of anxiety associated with it, and I have anxiety about the fact that I have a hard time getting rid of things. So how do I actually be successful at getting rid of things? And I've found pretty much nothing, which has been frustrating for quite a few reasons. Let me continue talking, collect my thoughts. But I don't know how people do this. I can't just sit and talk to myself. It's super anxiety inducing. Now that I have a slightly easier time doing it, I need to know what I'm going to say, and I need to think it over 1,000 times. But anyway, I guess I'll talk a little bit about my experiences with hoarding tendencies too, and where they come from. Because basically there are two types of hoarding. There's OCD-related hoarding, and then there's hoarding disorder. And hoarding disorder is what you typically see on things like, those TV shows about hoarding, which, I have opinions about that we won't go into. But I think you can all guess what those opinions are. But, and then there's OCD-related hoarding, which, the difference is the person who has OCD-related hoarding cannot live and be sane in that much clutter, and they feel really bad about they have to feel at least some degree of distress about, their hoarding tendencies. And whether or not I have OCD is up for debate. I would say right now I do not, but I have been told that I've had it I have been diagnosed with it in the past, and people have been like, oh, you have OCD. But because I have had a lot of, obsessions, compulsions. I struggle a lot with obsessions and behavioral compulsions. Like, needing to do things on both sides of my body. When I was younger, it was really bad. But I've kind of grown out of it a little bit. But when I get really stressed out, it gets worse again. But right now, I would say that I'm luckily at a point in my life where I do not fit the diagnostic criteria for OCD. But I still have all these issues, which are OCD-related. And, I have to, like, when I say OCD-related, it's because that's what it is, and there's no better way for me to really describe it and get what I'm talking about, get my point across well. Because I still have a lot of OCD symptoms. Like, I have intrusive thoughts, obsessions, some compulsions, again, behavioral compulsions. I have a lot of, hoarding tendencies. I have a lot of OCD spectrum kind of things. Like, I do have trichotillomania and a skin-picking disorder that's kind of come and gone. And, like, this stuff is, OCD, but it's not, enough to be full-blown OCD at this point. What was I saying? So, essentially, that's why I refer to it as OCD-related hoarding. And basically, I'm just having a hard time getting rid of things, and having a hard time for a lot of reasons, and I wish that I could get rid of things easier. I will say I've gotten better over time, because there's stuff that I've gotten rid of this time around where I said, like, why did I want to keep that the first time? But it's like, I still have, a fair degree of stuff, but I am a collector, and I collect a variety of different things. And I also have a lot of, stuff like art supplies, which I use, and computer parts, which I use. Books. The books are like rabbits, they just multiply. It's a problem. It's a very big problem. I love my books. But basically, I've been dealing with the struggle of wanting to be a minimalist and seeing, YouTubers talking about being minimalist and wanting that for myself, but just being unable to get there. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to get there. I found that adopting a minimalist kind of approach to acquiring stuff has been helpful. Like, because I am someone who enjoys free stuff. So I was at an event, and, everyone's giving away free stuff. And I didn't take as much free stuff as I was more mindful, I guess, about what stuff I chose to take. Which is, I'm proud of myself for that. And I think something like that is how someone who has hoarding tendencies can adopt minimalist ideas without having to get rid of everything. And taking pictures of things helps. To know that you have that digital copy. Because there's a lot of, what if I'll need this and I need a backups of things sometimes. But when it comes to things from my childhood, like getting rid of that kind of thing, I still have a hard time. And I've gotten a lot better, but it's hard. So I guess I'm just wondering what your experiences are with this, if you do anything that helps. If you struggle with it, I'm sorry, first of all. But second of all, you're not alone, and this, sensationalization of hoarding within, people who make videos about minimalism makes it hard to find help, and I have not yet. So if you have any suggestions or ideas for who I can watch, what I can read, any strategies that work for you to be able to get rid of things, I would love to hear them. So please leave a comment down below, and don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, because I make videos about mental health, sensory issues, executive functioning issues, and ways to deal with all of that, and kind of some of the issues that go along with being involved around these communities. So yeah, hope you have a great day. Bye. And thanks for watching.